Good afternoon. Ken Arzon here. I'm going to do another video on my top 50 list. I've done top 50 baseball players, top 50 pitchers, top 50 actresses, movie actresses. I've done top 50 movies that I enjoyed, and the top 50 television shows I've enjoyed. This video will be on the top 50 male actors of all time. See what you agree or disagree with my list. These are movie actors who have carried the movie. They were the star, and I enjoyed their performance. I have a list of a lot of other actors that are not on my list. They did not make the cut, so to speak. Why? They did not carry the movie. So let me give you an example. I took a list of players who are not in my top 50. I should say actors, not players. I'm thinking baseball. Baseball fan here, Seattle Mariners. And some of the actors performed in a baseball movie that are in my top 50. But I want to give you a list of players who did not make the top 50. You may be surprised and you may disagree. That's okay. But this is my analysis and my opinion. Robert De Niro. Everyone says he's a good actor, but he's been really political lately, slamming the president. I don't admire him. Sorry. Daniel Day-Lewis, Dustin Hoffman, Anthony Hopkins, Laurence Olivier, Jack Lemmon, Michael Caine, Robin Williams, Sean Penn, very political. Peter O'Toole, Charles Chaplin, he's way back. Ben Kingsley, Philip Seymour Hoffman, good actor. Kevin Spacey, George C. Scott, Jason Robards, Anthony Quinn. Peter Sellers, James Cagney, Peter Finch, Alex Guinness, Jake Gyllenhaal, Richard Dreyfuss, Adrian Brody, Ryan Gosling, Lee Marvin, Chuck Norris, and Steven Seagal. They're out on my list. They didn't make the cut, even though Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal, they're the stars of their movies. But I've got 50 other guys ahead of them. My apologies. How about some other actors that didn't make the cut? Alan Arkin, Joe Pesci, Ian McKellen, Albert Finney, Jeffrey Rush, Jeremy Irons, Javier Bardem, Heath Ledger, Christopher Waltz, Tim Robbins, Ralph Fiennes, Johnny Depp, Benicio Toro, Jamie Foxx, Joaquin Phoenix, Colin Firth, Christian Bale, Edward Norton, Christopher Walken, Adam Sandler, Frank Sinatra, didn't make it, David Niven, Ernest Borgnine, I liked him in the Poseidon Adventure, didn't make it, Jack Palance, Ethan Hawke, Red Buttons, Chris Pratt, Keanu Reeves, and Van Heflin. They did not make the cut. My apologies. I've got other actors. There's a lot of them. Let me just go through this. Robert Downey, Woody Allen, Orson Welles, Dean Martin, James Dean, Gene Kelly, Samuel Jackson, Jim Carrey, Don Cheadle, Martin Sheen, Alan Ritchson, Edward Robinson, Will Smith, John Gordon, Buster Keaton, Al Pacino, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackson, Robert Mitchum, Henry Cavill, Jason Statham, Bela Lugosi, Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas, Ryan O'Neal, Leslie Nielsen. He was in Airplane, some of those Naked Gun movies. They were funny, but didn't make the cut. Sorry. Bill Murray, James Coburn, Humphrey Bogart, Casablanca, didn't make my list. Spencer Tracy, Robert Vaughn, Dick Van Dyke, William Shatner. He had the Star Trek movies. My apology. Dwayne Johnson. Sorry. Vin Diesel, Fast and Furious movies. Didn't make it. Paul Walker, Charles Bronson, Bob Hope, Jack Benny, and Bing Crosby. I didn't see enough of their movies. Chris Evans, Sidney Poitier, Bruce Lee, Forrest Whitaker, Montgomery Clift, Antonio Banderas, Eddie Murphy, Omar Sharif, Nicolas Cage, Donald Sutherland, Mark Wahlberg, Steve Martin, Sylvester Stallone, Alec Baldwin, Ben Stiller, William Duvall, Kevin Bacon, Patrick Swayze, Colin Farrell, Fred Astaire, Bradley Cooper, Jude Law, Warren Beatty, Richard Harris, and Kiefer Sutherland. I like Kiefer. He's in that series 24 on television, but as far as movies, not on my list. Who are the top 50? You're going to cringe at some of them that I include. But the ones I include, like I said, carry the movie. They're the star of the movie. And I enjoyed the movie. That's why I have it. Let's get started, all right? Number 50 on my list of the top actors that I admire, their performance. Clark Gable, number 50. Gone with the Wind, 1939. He had 82 titles to his credit. When I mention titles and credits, that means there are 82 performances. And some of them were TV, but most of them were in movies. Why is Clark Gable number 50? Gone with the Wind, Rhett Butler, classic movie. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a D. I'll keep this video clean. 49 on my list, Richard Burton. Why? Well, he was in a movie in 1964, The Night of the Iguana. For some reason, I like that movie. I don't know why I like it. He was also in another movie called The Sandpiper in 1965 with Elizabeth Taylor. And in 1963, he was in Cleopatra. 79 titles to his credit. Richard Burton on my list at number 49. Pretty high. You may disagree. 48, Rod Taylor. 91 titles. I enjoyed two of his movies. The Time Machine, 1960, and The Birds, 1963, Alfred Hitchcock. They're both classics, even though The Time Machine had a corny ending with the Ewoks. But The Birds is one of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movies. So Rod Taylor coming in number 48. 47, Ben Affleck, present day actor. He's had some good performances. 74 titles to his credit. What did I like him in? I liked him in Pearl Harbor, 2001 movie. He was okay. He was in another movie in 2000 called Bounce with Gwyneth Paltrow. He did Argo, 2001. Zero Dark 30 is better than that one. And then he got into the Batman crave. 2017 Justice League. 2016 Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. So he's done two Batman movies. But Ben Affleck comes in at number 47 on my list at actors that I admire. Counting down. 46, Daniel Craig, present day actor. 82 titles. He's been working a lot. He's the James Bond, the present one. I'm hoping to see the newest one, No Time to Die, coming out in the fall. But I enjoyed his Bond performances. Casino Royale, 2006. Quantum of Solace, not as good, 2008. Skyfall was good, 2012, and Spectre, 2015. So he's done 4 Bonds, one more to see, No Time to Die, coming out in the fall, 2020. Daniel Craig comes in at 46 on my list. All right, how are we doing here? 45. Who comes next? Burt Lancaster, old school guy, 87 titles. 1953 did a movie called From Here to Eternity, that famous beach love scene. You've seen it with the ocean wave. And 1970 did a movie called Airport. That was a good movie, Airport. And then in 1989, he appeared in Field of Dreams, that old doctor who comes out of retirement and only had one appearance in a baseball game. You remember that story? Burt Lancaster, 45 on my list. 44. Kind of regret it, but I got to put him on my list. Brad Pitt, 80 titles, but he's had some good movies. Ocean's 11, 2001 was good. And then he did Ocean's 12, 2004, Ocean's 13, 2007. He did another movie called Meet Joe Black, not that great. That was in 1998. But I liked his movie Moneyball, 2011. That was okay. He did a zombie movie in 2013 called World War Z. And then in 2014, he did a movie called Fury, which was a disaster. Not very good. But I got to put Brad Pitt on the list as far as actors that caught my fancy. Like I said, Moneyball and Ocean's 11. Good movies. 43 on my list. Max von Sydow. You remember him? What is he famous for? 163 titles to his credit. But what do you remember Max von Sydow? Well, in 1965, he did a movie called The Greatest Story Ever Told. He played Jesus, and he's the best portrayal of Jesus that I've ever seen. There's been a lot of other movies trying to do it, but he nailed it. And then he was in a movie, 1966, Hawaii. That one I fell asleep. But he did a famous movie in 1973, The Exorcist. He played the priest. May the power of Christ compel you, trying to get the demon out of Linda Blair. The Exorcist. So Max coming in number 43 on my list. 42, Ray Milland, old school. 174 titles for Ray. Did I say that Max had 163 titles, so he worked a lot. Ray Milland, 174 titles to his credit. 1962, he did a movie called Panic in the Year Zero, nuclear bomb, and he takes his family out and just refuses to give in. And then in 1954, he did a movie called Dial M for Murder. He wants to take out his beautiful wife, Grace Kelly. What kind of a lunatic husband he portrayed in that one. But what a script. One of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movies, Dial M for Murder, 1954. That's Ray Milland. 41 on my list. Gregory Peck, 58 titles. What is he good for? Spellbound, he did an Alfred Hitchcock with Ingrid Bergman, 1945. Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn, 1953. Moby Dick, 1956. How the West Was Won, 1962. To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962. The Omen, 1976. Gregory Peck, 41 on my list. Number 40, Kevin Costner. He's done 62 titles. Gregory Peck, only 58 titles. But Kevin Costner, 62 titles. He did Bull Durham baseball movie. I didn't like it. Sorry. But the one I did love was 1989, Field of Dreams. Bull Durham was 1988, and then he did another baseball movie, Field of Dreams, one of my favorites. 1991, he did a movie, JFK. That was pretty good. 1992, The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston. 1994, Wyatt Earp. 1999, For Love of the Game. 2003, Open Range. 2013, he appeared in the Superman movies, Man of Steel, as Jonathan Kent. And then 2016, another Superman, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. So Kevin Costner. But what is he famous for? What's his movie? Dance with Wolves, where he won the Academy Award, Best Picture and Best Director, I believe. So Dances with Wolves, Kevin Costner. 40 on my list. Number 39 on my list, old school guy. Lon Chaney Jr. What is he famous for? 196 titles. I think that's the most on my list. 196 times he appeared in movies or on television. That's a lot of work. But what is he famous for, Lon Chaney Jr.? He debuted in 1941 as the Wolfman. Yes, Lawrence Talbot. The full moon, and he turns into a wolf. Came back in 1943 and made a movie, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. That was a good one. Then in 1944, he did House of Frankenstein. Then in 1948, he did Abbott and Costello Meet the Wolfman. And then in 1952, he appeared in High Noon with Gary Cooper. So Lon Chaney Jr., number 39 on my list. The Wolfman, what a classic. Number 38, Bruce Willis. 128 titles. He's famous for the Die Hard movies. I saw first one in 88, second one 1990, Die Hard 2. He was in The Sixth Sense, 1990. Tears of the Sun, 1999. That was a good one. 2005, he did Hostage. In 2006, he did 16 Blocks. He's been in a lot of movies. 128 titles for Bruce Willis. But he comes in. Why? Tears of the Sun, that's why. That was a good movie. He carried that one. 37 on my list, Kurt Russell. 100 titles. 1991, he did Backdraft, The Fireman. 1992, Unlawful Entry. 1993, Tombstone. 1996, this is the one I like, Executive Decision. 2002, Dark Blue. 2006, Poseidon. He was in 2016, Deepwater Horizon. And then he was in a movie around 2008 called Breakdown, where his wife gets kidnapped, and he's the only guy that has to save her. That was a good one. Then he's been recently in the Fast and the Furious movies. 2015, Furious 7, and then the last one, The Fate of the Furious. So Kurt Russell, he's on my list. I enjoyed him in Executive Decision and Breakdown. Okay, counting down, number 36, George Clooney. He's a good actor. Got to put him on my list. 92 titles. He was in a Batman and Robin movie in 1997. Then he did The Peacemaker, 1997. Out of Sight, 1998. The one I liked him in was The Perfect Storm, 2000. And he was in Ocean's 11, 2001. So those are the two that I like him in. Ocean's 11 and The Perfect Storm. He did 2002 Solaris, 2004 Ocean's 12, and then 2007 Ocean's 13. In 2010, he did a movie called The American. And then in 2013, he did Gravity with Sandra Bullock. I like that one. When I'm doing all my actors, I forgot to preface it. I'm not going to list all their movies. I'm just listing the ones that I have seen, okay? So if you're saying, what about this movie or that one? I didn't see it. So George Clooney, 36 on my list. 35, Yul Brynner. 47 titles. Okay, I forgot to say that Clooney had 92 titles. But Yul Brynner, 47 titles. Did I mention that Kurt Russell had 100 titles? So I want to mention how much work they've done. So if I repeat myself, my apology. But I'll try to list the titles along with the actor. Okay, Yul Brynner, 35 on my list, 47 titles. He was in the Ten Commandments in 1956. He played Pharaoh Ramses. And Moses says, "Let my people go," and he refused. He was in The King and I, 1956. The one I liked him in was The Magnificent Seven, 1960. He's the leader, saving the Mexican village from bandits, Calvararo. And then in 1966, he reprised the role as Chris, his name was Chris, Return of the Seven, of the Magnificent Seven. So Yul Brynner, number 35 on my list. Number 34, Jim Caviezel. Only 44 titles, still working. But he did a movie 2002, The Count of Monte Cristo. Edmond Dantes. And then in 2004, he played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. Now, I told you that Max von Sydow was the best Jesus. Jim Caviezel is number 2, portraying Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. That's a classic. Counting down, number 33, Roger Moore. 102 titles, but he's famous for being the second Bond. Third Bond. You had Sean Connery, then George Lazenby, who didn't last, and then Roger Moore. He did 6 Bond movies. 1973, Live and Let Die. 74, The Man with the Golden Gun. 77, The Spy Who Loved Me. That was a good one. 1979, Moonraker. All right. 1981, For Your Eyes Only. That was a good one. 1983, Octopussy. That's my favorite Bond as far as Roger Moore. That one and The Spy Who Loved Me. And then in 1985, he did a 6 Bond movie, A View to a Kill. Roger Moore, got to put him on my list at number 33. He carries the movie. 32 on my list, Robert Redford. Why? He's a good actor. 83 titles. Roger Moore, 102 titles. Robert Redford. 1967, started Barefoot in the Park. I saw that one. Then he did the classic 1969 Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. 1984, he did The Natural, a baseball player. 1993, Indecent Proposal. Don't see that one. 1998, The Horse Whisperer. That was a good movie. He trains the horses to help the girl. 2004, The Clearing. 2013, All Is Lost. That's his sailboat perishes. That's a strange ending on that one. And then 2018, The Old Man and the Gun. He's a robber. In his old age, he robs banks. Robert Redford, coming in number 32 on my list. Number 31, Harrison Ford. 83 titles. Robert Redford, 83 titles. Harrison Ford, he's in the Star Wars movies, 1980 Star Wars. 1988, he was in Frantic. 1990, Presumed Innocent. That's a good one. 1991, Regarding Henry. 1993, The Fugitive. That was a good one. He plays Richard Kimball. 1997, Air Force One. He plays the president. 2011, he resumes his role in the Star Wars movie episode A New Hope. And then 2015, The Force Awakens. And then 2019, The Rise of the Skywalker. So, Harrison Ford comes in number 31 on my list. Number 30, Leonardo DiCaprio. Good actor. Got to put him on the list. He carries the movie. 56 titles. Oh, what's he been in? The Quick and the Dead, 1995. But you remember him as Titanic. 1997 classic Titanic, James Cameron's movie. 1998, he did The Man in the Iron Mask. 2002, he did Catch Me If You Can. That was a good movie. 2004, The Aviator. 2006, The Departed. 2008, Revolutionary Road. And 2015, The Reverend. So Leonardo DiCaprio, those are the ones that I've seen of his. 56 titles. Number 29, Mel Gibson. 63 titles. 1984, he did The Bounty, which was not as good as the other classics. Mutiny on the Bounty has been done 3 times. 1935 with Charles Lawton. And 1962 with Marlon Brando. And then this one, 1984, The Bounty. That one, not very good. 1992, he did Forever Young. But 1995 is his signature movie, Braveheart. That was a good movie. 1996, Ransom. 1997, We Were Soldiers. 2002, he did an interesting movie. Well, 2002, he did We Were Soldiers. 2002, he did Signs. About the alien comes into the cornfield, steals his son. That was a unique movie for Mel Gibson. Okay, number 28 on my list, Liam Neeson. 133 titles for Liam Neeson. Mel Gibson, 63 titles. So Neeson's worked twice as much as Gibson, but Gibson does directing of the movies, like The Passion of the Christ. He directed that one. 1994, he did a movie called Nell. This is Neeson. Then he was in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. But what I liked him in is the 3 Taken movies. Taken. His daughter is kidnapped in Europe, and he's in the U.S., so he flies over and tracks down these men who just prostitute women. So Taken, 2008. Taken 2, 2011. Taken 3, 2012. All 3 of them I liked. He was in The Next 3 Days, 2008. He was in The Gray, 2011. He was in The Commuter, 2014. And then he came back for another Star Wars kind of reference appearance. So Liam Neeson comes in number 28 at actors that I admire. Carry the movie. 27, Matt Damon. Good actor. 85 titles. What's unique about Matt? Listen to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16 movies I've seen with Matt Damon. I won't give the year of the movie, all right? 'Cause there's so many of them. We did The Rainmaker, Saving Private Ryan, The Rounders, Ocean 11, The Bourne Identity, The Bourne Supremacy, Ocean's 12, The Departed, Ocean's 13, The Bourne Ultimatum, True Grit, Monuments Men, Interstellar, The Martian, Jason Bourne, and The Great Wall. Which one did I like of Matt Damon? The Rainmaker, 1997. I like the Jason Bourne movies. That started in 2002. Yeah, so those are the ones that I like Matt Damon. So, 27 on my list. 26, Tom Cruise. Now, you may ask, as I'm listing down this order, hey, why is that guy above the other? Well, from 50 to number 10 are interchangeable, so you can put them anywhere on all the lists. So I just had to list them. When I get to the top 10, those are my favorites. But these guys are good too. So you say, hey, why is Matt Damon, why is Tom Cruise better than Matt Damon? No, it's just the order that I just put them in. Same with Liam Neeson and Mel Gibson and all. Harrison Ford. So 26 is Tom Cruise. 50 titles. Matt Damon had 85 titles. Okay. Tom Cruise. What has he been good in? Mission Impossible movies. How many of those has he done? Well, I've got, let's see. Well, he comes on the scene, 1986, Top Gun. Then 1992, A Few Good Men. That's a good one. Then 1993, The Firm. 1996 begins Mission Impossible 1. 1996, he also does Jerry Maguire. I've seen that one. Then in 2000, Mission Impossible 2. Then he did War of the Worlds. Not very good movie there. Then 2006, Mission Impossible 3. Then Mission Impossible 4, 2011. Then he does another one, Mission Impossible 5. Then he did The Mummy, which was awful. Then I believe in 2018, did he do a 6 Mission Impossible? No, I lost track. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 of them. But I liked him in Few Good Men and then the Mission Impossible. So Tom Cruise, number 26 on my list. Number 25, Matthew McConaughey. 70 titles. Tom Cruise has 50 titles. Matthew, 70. He comes in 1996, A Time to Kill. 1997, Contact. The one I liked was in 2000, U-571, the U-boat, the submarine boat. He did The Wedding Planner, 2001. Did The Lincoln Lawyer, 2011. Interstellar, 2014. That was an awful movie. But Matthew McConaughey, I put him on my list. Number 25. Number 24, Jon Voight. 97 titles. 1972, he does a movie called Deliverance. That was a good movie. Then 1985, he did Runaway Train. His performance was very good in that one. 1997, Pearl Harbor. I had to put Jon Voight on because he's a quality actor. 97 titles. 23, Tommy Lee Jones. 84 titles. He comes in, let's see, 1991 he does Under Siege. Okay. With Steven Seagal. 1992 he does The Fugitive. 1993, The Client. 1994, Ty Cobb. That was a poor performance. 1995, Batman Forever. Then he gets into this Men in Black series. Not my cup of tea there. He did U.S. Marshals, 1997. Double Jeopardy was a good one, 1998. The Missing, 1999. Let's see. Missing was 2003. Lincoln, 2012. And then he was in the last Jason Bourne movie, 2016. So Tommy Lee Jones deserves to be on my list. Coming in at number 23. Number 22, Morgan Freeman. He's worked a lot, 126 titles. Tommy Lee Jones, 84 titles. Morgan Freeman, his best performance was in The Shawshank Redemption, 1994. In the prison in Illinois. He carries that movie along with Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins didn't make my list, but Morgan Freeman does because of The Shawshank Redemption. He was in Deep Impact, 1998. Along Came a Spider, 2001. Batman Begins, 2005. And then The Dark Knight, 2008. So Morgan Freeman, 22 on my list, counting down. 21, Robert Duvall. We know him from The Godfather, 1972 movie, The Natural, 1984, Falling Down, 1993, Deep Impact, 1998, John Q, 2002, Open Range, 2003. But what's unique about Robert Duvall? 143 titles. Wow, that's a lot of work. And I liked him in Open Range. All right, number 20, Jack Nicholson. You would say he deserves to be lower. No, I'll put him at number 20. Let's see. He did Batman, 1989, but his performance, what I liked, was A Few Good Men, 1992. I liked him in that one. About Schmidt, 2002. He's in the motorhome and goes cross country. And then The Departed, 2006. He's in 82 titles. But I got Jack Nicholson. He's a quality actor. He's a big Laker fan. But A Few Good Men. What a performance. 19. All right, we're going to get in some significant actors here. Marlon Brando. You know him from The Godfather, 1972. But I liked him in Mutiny on the Bounty, 1962, and that's my favorite bounty movie, because 1935, Charles Lawton did one. He played Captain Bligh. But 1962, Marlon Brando played Fletcher Christian, and the mutiny on the boat. And they take the bounty ship, and they settle on Pitcairn Island. That's a classic movie. In fact, in my top 50 movies of all time, I believe I have that one at number 2. That's my favorite. What was my favorite one on the top 50? Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. Check out that video, the top 50 movies of all time. All right, 47 titles for Marlon Brando. So he played certain parts in movies, On the Waterfront and some of those others. I didn't see that one. But Marlon Brando, I'll put him at number 19 on my list. Number 18, William Holden. 75 titles. 1955, he did A Love is a Many-Splendored Thing with Jennifer Jones. That was a good movie. I liked it. Sad ending. I won't give it away. And then he did a movie in 1955 called Picnic. Again, that's another good movie. Something about William Holden that when he's on the screen, you have to watch the movie all the way through, and that's why I've got him at number 18. Then in 1974, he did The Towering Inferno. So 20 years later, he does another movie, The Towering Inferno, where that skyrise catches fire, and he's on the top floor. That's a classic movie. You got to see that one. So William Holden, 75 titles, coming in at number 18. Number 17, Charles Laughton, Old School, 65 titles. He did the original Mutiny on the Bounty in 1934. He played Captain Bligh, and what a good performance that was. Then in 1939, he did The Hunchback of Notre Dame. He plays the hunchback who saves the girl from the fire. Then in 1957, he was in Witness for the Prosecution. So all three of these movies are really good. That's why I've got him at number 17. He's a good actor. 16, Gene Hackman. 100 titles. Okay, Charles Laughton had 65 titles. Gene Hackman, 100 on the nose. How many movies I got of him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 movies for Gene Hackman that I've seen. So I won't do the year, but he did Bonnie and Clyde, The Poseidon Adventure. That's one of my favorites. 1972 on that one. Okay, he does Superman, then he does Superman 2, then he does Hoosiers, 1980. That is a classic, Hoosiers, the high school basketball championship from Indiana. Then he does another Superman movie. He's done 3 Supermans. He plays Lex Luthor. Okay, Unforgiven, The Firm, Wyatt Earp, Quick and the Dead, Crimson Tide. He was good in that one. Absolute Power, Heartbreakers, Behind Enemy Lines, and Runaway Jury. I'm not going to give all the years because there's so many of them. But the ones I like Gene Hackman in is Hoosiers, Crimson Tide. Okay, Crimson Tide, I can tell you, 1995. Hoosiers, 1986. And The Poseidon Adventure, 1972. So Gene Hackman, number 16. Number 15, Jeff Bridges. 91 titles. He did The Vanishing in 1993. That's a unique horror movie. You got to see that one. Arlington Road, 1999. Oh, that's a good one. True Grit, 2010. So those are the ones I've seen with Jeff Bridges. Quality actor. So I've got him at number 15, not meaning that he's better than some of the others. It's just that I'm listing them down. But when I get to my 10, I consider them, my top 10, I consider them better than all these other guys. And you'll see when I get there. Number 14, Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington. 58 titles. Jeff Bridges, 91 titles. Okay. Denzel Washington. 1993, The Pelican Brief. Crimson Tide, I liked him in that one, 1995. John Q, 2002. Out of Time, 2003. Unstoppable, 2010. Flight, 2012. He's done a lot of other movies. I haven't seen him. But the one I liked him in was Crimson Tide. And that movie was in 1995. Okay, number 13, Paul Newman. 84 titles. Denzel Washington, 58 titles. Okay. Paul Newman. From the Terrace, 1960, love story. Torn Curtain, Alfred Hitchcock, 1966. I like that one. He was with Julie Andrews. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 1969. And then he was in The Towering Inferno, what year was that one? 1974, The Towering Inferno. 84 titles for Paul Newman. What's the one I like him in? Torn Curtain. Number 12 on my list, Tom Hanks. 93 titles. He does A League of Their Own, 1992. Sleepless in Seattle, 1993. Forrest Gump, 94. Apollo 13, 95. Saving Private Ryan, that's his signature movie, 1998. Castaway, 2000. Catch Me If You Can, 2002. The Da Vinci Code, 2006. Captain Phillips, 2013. Tom Hanks, 93 titles. I liked him in A League of Their Own. I liked him in Saving Private Ryan. And you know, Castaway, I liked him in that one. He really carries that movie all the way through. Number 11, Russell Crowe. 62 titles. He just missed the top 10. But as far as the present day actors right now, I'll watch any Russell Crowe movie. 62 titles. He was in The Quick and Dead, 1995. Gladiator, 2000. That was a good one. Proof of Life. A Beautiful Mind. 3:10 to Yuma, 2001. The Next 3 Days, 2007. I like that one because he saves his wife who's in prison. Breaks her out just by himself. A normal guy. The Next 3 Days. Then he was in Man of Steel, 2010, and then in Noah, 2013. That Noah movie didn't pan out as good. So where do I like Russell Crowe? A Beautiful Mind. Proof of Life, I like that one. Gladiator, I like that one. And The Next 3 Days. So Russell Crowe cracks at number 11, but who's in my top 10? Here we go. These are the favorite guys I like. Alan Ladd, number 10. Shane. Now, on my list, I've seen a lot of these actors' movies. The only movie I've seen of Alan Ladd was Shane. It was done in 1953. Now, he worked a lot in Hollywood, had 100 titles. But why do I have him at number 10? Because he carries the movie, Shane. Saving the homesteaders from the evil bandits who want to kick them off of their property. And there's a classic gunfight in the saloon with Jack Palance. And he says, "You're a low-down Yankee liar." And he pulls his gun. And that's the best bar scene I've ever seen. In all the Westerns I've seen, Shane also is the best Western I've ever seen. If you haven't seen Shane, you're missing out on life. So I've got Alan Ladd. I've seen one movie of his, and he comes in at number 10. Number 9, Cary Grant. 77 titles. A unique actor. But you know what? He carries the movie, and you gotta watch him. If he's acting, you gotta watch Cary Grant. Why? All right, well, in 1955, he did To Catch a Thief with Grace Kelly, Alfred Hitchcock movie. It was a good one. 1957, he did An Affair to Remember, a love story with Deborah Kerr. I like that one. It's a good movie. How about 1959? He does North by Northwest. That's his signature movie. That's an Alfred Hitchcock movie. And then he did Charade with Audrey Hepburn. Oh, those two paired together. 1963. So Cary Grant, 77 titles, comes in at number 9 on my list. Number 8, Henry Fonda. 124 titles. He comes in on the scene 1957 and does a movie called 12 Angry Men. 11 of the jurors say guilty, but he says innocent. So 12 Angry Men, he has to convince everybody else that the boy did not commit the murder of his father. And they go one by one, and he convinces them. That's a classic movie, 12 Angry Men. And 56, he does The Wrong Man. That's an Alfred Hitchcock movie. 1962, he does How the West Was Won. 1968, he does Yours, Mine, and Ours with Lucille Ball. Each of them have 8 kids, is that right? So they have 16 kids in the house, and then they have another one. Then 1968, he plays the bad guy called Once Upon a Time in the West. He plays the evil gunslinger. Now, all his movies, he's a good, wholesome, loving guy. On Golden Pond, I didn't see that one. But in this Once Upon a Time in the West, he plays a really dark, evil gunslinger that kills people. killed a boy in that movie. I don't know, but Henry Fonda, I got him at number 8 on my list because I liked 12 Angry Men and The Wrong Man. Those two movies. Number 7, Sean Connery. 93 titles. Henry Fonda, 124 titles. But Sean Connery, he's a really good actor. We know him as the James Bond movie. So where does he come? Let's see, 1962, he does Dr. No. That's a good one. Then in 1963, he does From Russia with Love. That's a good one. 1964, he does Goldfinger. His performance is, again, excellent. Then he does an Alfred Hitchcock movie in the same year called Marnie. Didn't like him in that one very much. 1965, he does Thunderball, one of my favorite Bond movies. 1967, he does You Only Live Twice, another Bond. 1971, he does Diamonds Are Forever. So he does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Bond movies. Which ones do I like? Oh boy. Thunderball, Goldfinger, and From Russia with Love, and Dr. No. You Only Live Twice, a little letdown, and then Diamonds Are Forever. I put that as the least favorite of his Bond movies. All right, 1978, he does The Great Train Robbery. It was okay. 1983, he does his 7th Bond movie, but it's not in the Ian Fleming production. It's called Never Say Never. That was an awful movie, but I had to see it because it was Sean Connery. 1990, he does The Russia House. Not very good. 1995, he does First Night. He plays King Arthur. That was a quality performance in that one. 1996, he does The Rock. So how many Sean Connery movies? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Sean Connery movies. That's why I've got him at number 7. Counting down, number 6, Clint Eastwood. 71 titles. Sean Connery, 93 titles. Clint Eastwood. Everybody knows him. How many movies I have seen of him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 movies of Clint Eastwood I've seen. He's got 71 titles. I won't name the years, but A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Hang 'em High, 2 Mules for Sister Sarah, Play Misty for Me. That was a horror movie. Dirty Harry, High Plains Drifter, The Outlaw Josie Wales, Escape from Alcatraz, 1979, Unforgiven, In the Line of Fire, The Bridges of Madison County, 2000 Million Dollar Baby, Gran Torino, and then The Trouble with the Curve. Which ones are my favorite Clint Eastwood movies? Escape from Alcatraz, 1979. Dirty Harry, 1971. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. And Play Misty for Me, 1971. Those are my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. What's my favorite of all of them? Escape from Alcatraz. What a performance in that one. Number 5, James Stewart, Jimmy Stewart. 101 titles. He did 3 Alfred Hitchcock movies. But let's see, we'll start with this first one that I saw, man. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, George Bailey. Auld Lang Syne. 1948, he does Rope. That's an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Then in 1954, he does Rare Window with Grace Kelly and Raymond Burr. Classic movie. Then in 1956, he does The Man Who Knew Too Much with Doris Day. Love that one. 1957, he does The Spirit of St. Louis. Then he does another Alfred Hitchcock movie, 1958, called Vertigo. All the Alfred Hitchcocks are really good. I think he did about, what? Probably did 50 of them, but I've seen about maybe 15 of them, and all the ones that I've seen have been good. Right, James Stewart, Anatomy of a Murder, 1959, plays a lawyer. Then he was in a Western, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1962. Then he was in How the West Was Won, 1962. Shenandoah, 1965. The Shootist with John Wayne, 1976. And then he was in Airport, 77. So James Stewart, what's my favorite movies there? Rear Window, The Man Who Knew Too Much, It's a Wonderful Life, Vertigo. You gotta say Anatomy of a Murder too, so that's why I've got him at number 5. Number 4, Gary Cooper. I've only seen 2 movies with Gary Cooper. High Noon, 1952, and The Pride of the Yankees, 1942. Gary Cooper worked a lot, 118 titles. James Stewart, 101 titles. But you're saying, why is Gary Cooper at number 4 on my list if you've only seen 2 of his movies? Because the 2 I saw are absolute classics. Unmatched in movie history making. High Noon, the sheriff, the lone sheriff that has to defend the city from the 4 robbers coming to take over the city. Gary Cooper won the Academy Award for that movie, I believe. I hope I'm not wrong on that. But I think he did. And then The Pride of the Yankees, he plays Lou Gehrig. Remember him? Played 17 years for the New York Yankees in the 1930s. I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. So those 2 movies were so well done, and one of my favorites, that I put Gary Cooper number 4. Who's number 3? Charlton Heston. 127 titles. He was in demand. Everyone wanted him in their leading role, and I agree. I mean, he did the 10 Commandments in 1956. He plays Moses. That was a good movie. 1959, he plays Ben-Hur. He won the Academy Award for that one. That was a good movie. The Chariot Race. Have you seen it? You have to check it out. 1961, El Cid. 1965, The Greatest Story Ever Told. 1968, Planet of the Apes. That's a classic. Then in 1970, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which was a letdown. 1971, he plays the Omega Man. That is the weirdest movie I've ever seen. But just because Charlton Heston is in it, I watched it. What's my verdict on Omega Man? Strange movie. 1973, Soylent Green. Didn't like it. 1975, he was in Airport. I like that one. He climbs into the plane that's crashing. He's in another plane. He gets out. While in midair, enters the crane that is the plane that is headed for destruction, and gets into the cockpit and saves it at the last moment. That's a thrill movie. Airport, 1975. And then he was in Earthquake, 1974, and that was a good one. Any movie that Charlton Heston is in is well worth watching all the way through. Number 2. Who are the 2 actors that I really, really enjoy? Well, who haven't I talked about? I mentioned all the ones who didn't make the cut, but who haven't I talked about? Number 2, Steve McQueen. Something about this actor. He had a unique acting ability that you believe whatever part he was playing, you believed he was actually that person. Even though the movie is fiction, he actually convinced you that he was playing that part. Steve McQueen, how many have I seen of his? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. 45 titles. He didn't work as much because he wanted to get paid the highest. So he would turn down movies, but he was in popular demand. All right. 1958, he does a movie called The Blob, a teenage movie. Well, they're teenagers roughly, and the blob comes from outer space and devours people. He's in that one. That was 1958. But in 1960, he does The Magnificent Seven with Yul Brynner. Oh, he carries that movie. Yul Brynner's in the lead, but Steve McQueen was number 2 in that movie. Then in 1963, he does one of the all-time classics, The Great Escape. He burrows through and helps the 50 get out of the concentration camps in Germany. Steve McQueen. 1965, let's see, yeah. 65 does The Cincinnati Kid. It was all right. Nevada Smith, 1966. That was a good one. The Revenge. His parents were killed. That's a Western. And he seeks revenge. Then he does The Sand Pebbles, 1966. The Thomas Crown Affair, 1968. Bullet, that's a good one, 1968. The Getaway, that's a good one, 1968. Papillon, that's a good one, 1972. And then The Towering Inferno, 1974. So which ones do I like of Steve McQueen? The Great Escape, That Magnificent Seven, Bullet, Papillon, The Getaway, and Towering Inferno. Amazing actor, Steve McQueen, and he died young at age 50. What an actor, Steve McQueen. Who's number 1 as far as my favorites? Who haven't I listed? This man was in 179 titles, movies, and he probably did another 100 appearances on television. This man was in popular demand, and this man carried the movie. Now, his early movies in the 1930s, maybe some subplots and maybe sub roles, but when he got going, and he worked and worked and worked, and his main movies are Westerns. But I've got him number 1 because he is a presence. He is someone to reckon with. One of the most unique actors of all time. I think he only won 1 Academy Award because he really didn't get into the I want the best movie of the year, but he was the one who was the starring role in the movie that carried the movie, and all the leading ladies look up to him. Who am I talking about? John Wayne. 179 titles. How many have I seen of his? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. He holds the record. 17 movies I've seen of him, so I put him at number 1. I got to. I won't list the years. Rio Grande, The Quiet Man, The Searchers, Rio Bravo, The Alamo, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Hackari, How the West Was Won, McClintock, The Greatest Story Ever Told, The Sons of Katie Elder, The Green Berets, True Grit, Rio Lobo, Big Jack, The Cowboys, and The Shooters. What do I like John Wayne in? Rio Grande, Rio Bravo, Hackari, The Alamo, Big Jake, Rio Lobo, the Cowboys and the Shooters. He's just a Western guy. Just think of all the time he spent on movie sets and all the horses he rode. He must have been in 50 Westerns. All the gunfights, all the love scenes with women, and all the travel, and all the hard work he did. He was the director of the Alamo. He played Davy Crockett. Then they go over to Africa and he shoots a movie called Haktari. He also did some crime movies. I didn't see any of the crime. I stuck with all his westerns. I have 30 videos of him on DVD. John Wayne. I think his favorite leading lady was Maureen O'Hara. But he had them all as far as the leading ladies. Grace Kelly and Ingrid Bergman and all those other ones. Audrey Hepburn was one of them. No, not Audrey, but Katharine Hepburn. I mean, I could list, if he did 179 titles, he probably had 100 leading ladies. John Wayne, what an actor. Which one would I recommend that you should see? Rio Bravo and Rio Grande, True Grit, Big Jake, and The Shootist. The Shootist was his last movie. I like that one. All right, I think I've gone down my top 50 of favorite actors. Check out my top 50 actresses. You go to the YouTube channel, put in Ken Arzone, and you'll see where it is. I also have top 50 movies of all time, top 50 television shows, top 50 offensive players, and I have the top 50 pitchers of all time, and I've done some other videos too. Ken Arzone, thanks for watching. I'm out.